Good morning. It's Ginny and Tim at DS Tech in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And what a beautiful weekend it was.
It has been gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Anyway, but what we're talking about today is, have you moved away from that antiquated phone line?
Yep.
I kind of, at first we were like, well, are people still on? I think they are. Some of them.
I think there's still people that are still having traditional lines. Yes.
We've had some recent, stories that we'll share in this episode, and I have a story to share in this episode. So stay tuned and listen for those stories and drop your questions below this video so that we can address it in another episode, or I'll just answer it. And check out our website if you would like to get moving on your phone system.
Yeah.
Save some money and time and all that good stuff, which you'll find out in this episode. So let's go.
Get the details here. So if your business is still using traditional landline phones, this is typically true, is that you're usually paying more for less. Usually you're paying more per line for your phone system still, and you get less features than you would on a modern system. Now that, there's certain things that some of the old systems can do, but VoIP is miles ahead of from that. And this could be basically some of the different reasons that you're still using a traditional phone system, how VoIP can basically maybe make your business more functional, more streamlined, have better response times to your customers, and all the fun stuff that goes with VoIP, and kind of maybe putting some of the fears of going to an internet-based phone system can kind of get rid of that too, because
more flexible.
More flexible as well. So
that's a big one.
So typically, obviously, the biggest driving factor is usually lowering the cost. So typically, you have your monthly service fees. And I don't know if there's long distance charges anymore in phones. That's what this is saying, but I don't think that's really a thing. But surprise bills, sometimes the extra fee on those traditional landlines. And I've seen some businesses where they're paying an exorbitant price for a landline still for using as like a fax line that they didn't even know about on their bill. And you can basically take each one of those lines and put it into VoIP, which, if you're not familiar with VoIP, that's voice over internet protocol. So just think voice over the internet is what VoIP stands for. So your phones are going through the internet instead of the old lines. So yeah, use your existing internet connection, and then it's usually much cheaper per line. Maybe an old system, you could have we have 10 lines in our phone system, and it used to be really fancy. Well, now you could have 100 lines if you wanted to, as long as you just pay for those lines. And it's much easier to add and remove a line and configure it on the back end, because it's programmable phone system is basically the best way to put it. You can have all the kind of fun features of a computer system, but now we can kind of do stuff like that with the phone system because it's actually a modern system now, not the traditional landline phone.
Yep. I've had people call in tickets and they just say, I need another line. And, within a day, whatever, they have it up and running.
You don't have to have someone go in and come in and configure the line and the big block and trying to make sure all your lines are separate and stuff like that. They
don't even go there.
Yeah.
It's all remote.
It's all remote through your internet programming on the back end. Exactly. Yeah. So today's workforce, another good reason is, it's not tied to your desk. A lot of us have, remote or hybrid workforce where you may be working remote, you may be working in the office some days of the week, things like that. And so you get your big fancy phone system in your office, which has all the buttons to forward and do all the stuff to various people. Well, you can take all that functionality that's on that big desk phone and actually put it into an app. And that app can be on your smartphone. So now if you're having to work remotely for the day, all the same functionality of forwarding to Tim, maybe going straight to voicemail, all that kind of stuff, our call groups, all the different things you're used to doing with your phone system, you can actually have remotely, and it will actually follow you wherever you're going. And I think you have a story. This just recently happened to you, right?
Yes, because we needed some coverage on the phones, and I was in a cabin way up north, and I'm like, but they have Wi-Fi. Okay. So they gave me a laptop, and I logged in. I did log into our PBX portal because it's easier to transfer from there to people. But anyway, I could do it all from that cabin. I mean, I even had my desktop on the laptop so I could do work in between calls.
Right.
So,
But it was possible. You're in the remote cabin, and as long as you have an internet connection, even basic Wi-Fi in a remote cabin is strong enough to run your phone system.
Yes. And I took calls, I transferred calls, I opened tickets, the whole works.
Wow.
It was great.
Well, that's cool to hear.
It was I was here, but I was sitting on a couch in the cabin.
Yes. And so the same thing, all your call groups, the different users, it's all, a little bit, you have a portal to log into on your phone. It has like a virtual interface, kind of like your phone, so you can drag people around and stuff, but they're easy to train and get up to start on that. That's awesome. Cool.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. And so that's kind of going into the big business features. Small price point is that you don't need to have Fortune 500 company to sound like one, right? With VoIP systems, you can have custom call greetings, advanced call routes, call trees. You can really program your phone system to be as advanced or as simple as you want. So you're not limited to just some very basic features. So like you were saying, as you're basically running dispatch, all the calls coming in, you're routing them to various people, taking messages, doing tickets, doing all of that. All that functionality is still there, even remote in the cabin versus at the office. So that's pretty cool. And there's no additional cost to have that extra feature, for that, all the programming that you're doing in here. Well, it's just tied to your users and your lines. So it'll follow through with that. It's pretty cool.
I think it kind of knows when you're logged in too, because it, you have a presence.
Yep, you can like log into the app, kind of like when you log into your messaging system. And then so you'll say whether you're online or away, so if you're in a meeting, you're not getting calls, things like that. Kind of some messaging sign up functionality you can actually have in your phone system to set kind of statuses of what you're doing, if you're busy. So that's definitely available too. And then you kind of touched on this earlier, a scale instantly. So growth should be exciting, not a logistical nightmare. So if you're adding a new employee, a new phone line, whatever, it's a simple support ticket in, and we can usually get that programmed for you within a day. And so it's no longer we need to send someone on site, run a whole new line to their desk, all that kind of stuff. It's all programmed, and then remotely we can send the configuration to the phones, and then they can update it. Or employee turnover, an employee leaves, you get a new employee there, we can quickly change the extension over and take the extension of the former employee over and move all that stuff. It's pretty simple to do that. And again, you have a programmable phone system now, so the possibilities are almost endless of what you can do with it. It's just basically, what do you want to do with your phone system? How can it help you fit your business model and maybe make things more efficient? And then we can kind of program that to then fit that need. So
the whole new setup takes a little bit longer because we got to get you the phone, but
yeah, we got to get sometimes you got to get new hardware if you need a new phone for the employee, right? But even that, it'll be pre-programmed. You can basically plug it in at the desk,
plug it in, and you're ready to go.
So,
exactly.
For sure. And then talk about the better call quality as well as, typically that's kind of the more, if anyone that's still on the traditional landlines, is there hesitation I see is like, well, the call quality, I like my old landline. It always works no matter what, even when the internet goes down. But realistically, in today's modern business, if your internet goes down, so much is going down already. You're probably coming to somewhat of a standstill anyway. And unless you're like a medical facility, which you need a fax line for like prescription medications to go out, even in an emergency, like there's no reason to have that, super residual backup with that. And that the internet is more likely going to be perfectly fine. And usually you'll have a backup internet connection, if anything, if you're really truly worried about that redundancy. And the internet's so fast now, and the amount of speed and data and streaming and stuff. So maybe 10 years ago, where like, oh no, I have low internet quality, so my calls don't sound the greatest to my VoIP system because you don't have enough bandwidth. That's not really the case anymore. You may have occasionally, like they call it jitter or weird issues with the line, but it's so few and far between what it used to be because the internet is so much faster. There's more bandwidth available. So the idea of you can still have your 30 employees all working your normal job and still doing the phone system, and the phone system uses such a small little bit of internet bandwidth that it's not going to really affect anything, and you should be pretty good there. So that's, maybe 10 years ago it was more of an issue, like call quality, I don't want, if my backup's running, is my phone system going to sound bad, things like that. But nowadays it's not really an issue with the modern phone systems, and they're so
and I know
quality.
Sometimes if something is going on, like, I don't know, I can think of an example where the fiber was cut, by somebody accidentally cutting fiber or whatever, and then we would just have their phones transferred to their cell phones, and they still had their system up.
Because you can do different things where when someone calls your phone, if you don't answer it, your desk phone, say in 3, 4, 5 rings, whatever you say it, I want to forward that call to my personal cell phone. So it would actually give you a backup where if your internet did totally go out and everyone had cell phones, the calls could still be then forwarded to their cell phones in an emergency.
And then you can say, sorry, can't help you. Our computer systems are down anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You still answer. But at least
you can answer the call.
Exactly. So no, there's definitely redundancy that comes with the modern system that you may not get with the traditional ones as well. And so kind of getting to the whole end of this is DS Tech can definitely help you with this, right? If you still have that traditional phone system and you want to go to a more modern system, or maybe you do have a VoIP provider, you're just not happy with them. DS Tech, we take care of the training, the implementation, your updates on everything that you have. Please reach out. We'll definitely give you a quote and can walk you through the whole process and get into greater detail than we did in this episode, and get you taken care of.
They'll go over your phone bills too and see that if our system will be less.
Yeah, we do a review for you. Yeah, exactly. Is it worth it? And then
a lot of times we can save you some money. So Yeah, in time.
Yeah, just the money in itself is a win, and then once you get all the benefits of the system and your staff are trained for it, and it'll actually add even more revenue coming in because of the efficiency that then is provided into your business as well. So
for sure. So upgrade your phone lines. Ask your questions below this video. Let us know if you're using VoIP and who you're using, and I don't know, just get in touch and we'll see if we can help you. So make it a great day. We'll see you next time.